What you just saw were some clips from the announcement video for our fan-made TV series Spider-Man Alone. Season 1 offers an extensive look at Spider-Man's origin, as Peter Parker grapples with grief and loneliness following the death of Uncle Ben. It also makes history as the first live-action appearance of Chameleon, who's the perfect antagonist for a coming-of-age teenage boy searching for his identity. If you haven't watched the announcement video yet, go ahead and click the link in the description, watch the full thing, and then come back. And if you're still watching, it's because you want to know how we made the best homemade Spider-Man suit. Alright, the first iteration of the suit Spider-Man wears tends to be referred to as the homemade suit. And we're all familiar with Tobey's wrestling suit, Andrew and Tom's homemade suits from the previous movies. But for me, there are 2 rules when designing this kind of a suit. Number 1, it's gotta be something any 16-year-old kid can make. And number 2, someone's gonna disagree with me, but it has to look like Spider-Man. And while the other live-action suits definitely hold up for criteria number 1, it's hard to identify any of them as Spider-Man. So when I was working on our suit, I went back to the source material. Amazing Fantasy 15. The red and black Ditko suit that Peter dons is the homemade suit. I don't want to hear the argument that the wrestling suit is his first Spider-Man suit. That's not true. That's not true. His wrestling suit is his wrestling suit. But what does it say right here? I'll design myself a spider costume. When he's designing the first iteration of the Spider-Man suit, this is what he gets. The red and black Ditko suit. This is the homemade suit. And well, really, it could be argued that any Spider-Man suit is the homemade suit because they're all homemade. But you know what I'm saying. It's not the wrestling suit. The Spider-Man suit that he makes is his first homemade suit. So my job was to adapt that in the modern day from my Peter Parker, which led me to comic book artists like Lee Bermejo, Gabriel Del Otto, and eventually the Spider-Man cosplay community. There are a ton of incredibly talented kids here just making their own suits. And the ones that resonated with our take on the character were people like Spider-Boy, Easy Bug Bruh, Sir Saren, and Chemtacular, to name a few. They all popularized and Spider-Boy started the sweatpants Spider-Man suit trend, which to me is the most practical way anyone could make a Spider-Man suit overnight. Alright, so let's get into the tutorial where I will show you how we made version 1 of our homemade suit. Here's a checklist of all the materials you'll need. 2 red sweaters, if you want to make the mask out of the same material. If not, you only need 1. 1 blue sweater, 1 blue jogger sweatpant, 1 red t-shirt. This is what you can make the mask out of if you're not going to make it out of a sweater. 1 pair of boxing hand wraps, either 120 inches or 180. 1 bottle of fabric glue, a needle and red thread. 1 pair of fabric scissors, 1 foam head, 1 sheet of black leather, suede, or black foam, 1 fabric chalk pencil, 1 sheet of windscreen mesh or PC fan mesh, 1 can of white spray paint, 1 bottle of crazy glue, and the optional black puffy paint or black Sharpie if you want to put webs on your suit. Oh, and stick around to the end because then I'll show you what version 2 of our homemade suit will look like that we're actually going to use in the show. Alright, so we're at Goodwill. This is where we're going to find our materials. We need a sweater, we need sweatpants, maybe a t-shirt if you're using that as your mask. So we're going to go in and we're going to look and we're going to see what they got. You might have something different where you are, but ideally any type of thrift store, consignment store is going to be the best fit. If you're using a t-shirt for your mask, you want to think about the consistency of color throughout the suit, right? The color of this shirt is going to be much, much brighter versus, say if we went with this shirt, right? This is a much more kind of maroon, muted color. It's got a little wash on it. So all of that's going to dictate the look of your suit, right? If you want to go for a lighter, brighter, kind of more fun, more friendly, childlike Spider-Man, then
a lighter blue and a lighter red like this is going to give you a completely different look than, let's say, a more washed out red and a darker blue. So you want to think about that when you're looking for your suit. So when we're looking for the sweatpants, you want to look for sweatpant joggers, okay? And what that means is that they have a taper at the bottom. That's important for the silhouette of the suit, right? If they were baggy like this, that's one look, but for us, we want to get that taper so that it's still a superhero silhouette. These pants are a little too big for me, but you luck out if you have the drawstring inside, because you can always pull them up and tighten them around. We were looking at some pants. We weren't able to find anything this go around. That's going to happen when you're thrift shopping or at a consignment store. It's like you don't have that consistency. You're not always going to be able to find what you're looking for. Again, if you want to just make this process as quick and efficient as possible, use the Amazon links. Just get it delivered to your door. You'll get exactly what you need at the right size. For me, for this video's sake, I'm going to reuse the pants I already have for the Alone suit. When it comes to pants, that's the easiest thing. All right, so we found a couple good finds today. What we found was this t-shirt. We're going for a little bit of the darker red, because you know our Spider-Man is Spider-Man's Alone, a little bit more of a grittier, grounded Spider-Man. So we didn't want to go for those bright colors that you would find in maybe Tom Holland's Homecoming suit. This shirt is going to work, but it's not ideal, and why is that? Well, we've got graphics on it, okay? You know the graphics we can't use on the mask, otherwise you're going to have them show up. But why this shirt can possibly work is that we see a lot of blank space where the graphic isn't. All of this blank space is good material that I know I can use. I have a mask template, and I know that I have enough space that I can fit that mask template on and be okay. It's not ideal, but it'll work. Now this is a great find. This is a little bit better. This is the sweater, okay? We need a blue sweater, we need a red sweater. If you're making the mask out of a t-shirt, you want that t-shirt. If you're gonna make the mask out of a sweater, you want that consistency of material, you're gonna need 2 red sweaters. This works because this is very form-fitting. In the original suit that we have that you saw in the announcement video, it was a little bit baggier, it was a little bit looser. That's a look you can go. If you want a baggy Spider-Man, go ahead and upsize all your clothing. But if you want a little bit more of a tight-fitting, form-fitting superhero silhouette, go for a small, go for whatever size that's gonna hug your body. You want this blue sweater and the red sweater to be the same size. The challenge I've ran into today is that I found a great red sweater, but it's a medium. That's a small, this is a medium. So what that's gonna mean is I'm gonna have to line up this suit when I'm cutting it out and try to get the best fit, try to make it fit on a small. Next time I do this suit, I'm gonna make sure they're the same size, because I'm gonna use those Amazon links in the description and have that consistency. But we have our red sweater, we have our blue sweater, we have our t-shirt, and we have our pants. So we are ready to go. We're gonna check out now. We got these 3. All right, man, thank you so much.
All right, thank you for shopping.
Take care. All right, so that was it. That's our Goodwill shopping haul. We've got the right materials we need. Gonna repurpose something I already have. Now we're headed to Michael's. Some of the fabric glues, they're gonna be like temporary, and seamstresses use that because they want a temporary hold to hold the material together. What I used is I used a permanent fabric glue, meaning it's not a temporary hold. That thing is gonna last forever. And that's what you wanna do if you're not gonna sew. So when we're looking for our fabric glue, we wanna make sure it says permanent. So you can see right there. Aleen's brand, $4.99. If you find fabric scissors that look like this, you're gonna be good. Fiskars is also a really good brand. You don't have to get that brand, but it is the world's #1 scissor brand, so keep that in mind. But yeah, fabric scissors, very, very important. Ideally for me, I don't really want the seam to show. I'm gonna sew that seam really tight so you can't see the thread we're using. But even if you did see it, it should look like it's the same material. It should look like the mask. So to me, I would go with a darker red. One of these would be really good. And all you need is grab that spool, grab a needle. That's all you need. That's the minimal sewing you're gonna do, is you can do with a needle and thread. So if you have a t-shirt, you need to make sure, this is something actually I should have stressed earlier. When you're getting your materials, right, your sweatshirt and your t-shirt, make sure they're stretchy, okay? Look at the materials they're made of, give them a little pull. If those things aren't budging, you're gonna have a hard time with them. Now when it comes to the suit, right, the actual body portion, that's less important, the flexibility. But if you're going to use that for the mask, right, you're going to use a sweater for the mask, that thing needs to be stretchy. And if it's not stretchy, you're going to have to install a zipper. Even if you get a t-shirt and you make that t-shirt into the mask, make sure that t-shirt has some stretch to it, okay? If you guys want to put webs on your Spider-Man suit, you're going to want to get some puff paint. So we have two different versions right here. We have a tulip slick and we have a tulip puffy. All right, they look identical. They literally look the exact same. I don't personally know what the difference between these two is. I do know that puffy paint is what everybody uses and is what's going to give you that dimensional raised webbing look. And it's stretchy, it'll go with the material, and this is what I've used before. So I'm going to go with puffy over slick. All right, so you'll also need some plastic ball pins. All right, that's what they look like. For the lenses and the logo, the chest logo, I like to go with a leather. I like to go with some type of suede or leather trim. We have both of those options right here. Holding that up, I like the way that that catches the light because it's textured. If I were to do the suit again, which I am, I might go with this type of material since I've already done the suede. But yeah, here's some good options of leather. I would go with either of these and that'll be a good bet. So into the cart. All right, you want some kind of crazy glue as well. Right here we have Gorilla Glue. It doesn't have to be that OP. You actually won't use a crazy glue all that much, but it'll be really, really helpful for gluing a couple seams down or repositioning some things and just giving yourself a strong, strong permanent hold. So we'll go with crazy glue or Gorilla Glue today. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. All right. So you're going to want white spray paint. This is going to be perfect for spray painting your lenses. You only want to spray one side of the mesh. If you can buy white mesh or you have an old hockey jersey or something that you just want to cut up, look, the inside of a bathing suit, swimsuit that has the mesh, you can use that. But if you want to find some type of mesh, windscreen mesh, PC fan mesh, it's going to be darker material, probably black. You're going to want to spray one side. Keep one side white, keep the other side dark. The dark side is what you're going to have to your eye. It's what's going to help you see better, okay? Because the white is going to catch the light, so you want that on the outside reflecting. You want the dark on the inside. Get yourself some spray paint, spray one side, and you're good to go. In the cart. All right, guys, rule number 2, actually use your eyes so you don't have to walk past the same aisle 10 times. They were right here the whole time. So we're looking for chalk pencils. They're water soluble, so I find the best way to do it is actually kind of like dipping them a little bit in water, then drawing on your fabric. This will wash off, okay? Water soluble, it will wash off with water, but you want to use this when you're drawing out the pattern on the red sweater so you know what to cut out. It's gonna save your life. Grab yourself a chalk pencil in the cart and let's check out. That's it, let's go back to the house. Let's make the suit. All right, the very first thing you need to do is wash your clothes. Be safe, be sanitary. Then you're gonna lay out your red sweater. You're gonna mark out your design for the torso and the arms. Because this shirt is a little bit bigger, I chose to use the elastic band as my belt. So I am seam ripping the elastic waistband and I'm going to move that up to be my Spider-Man belt. You don't have to do this if you have the right size. You can just draw on the belt like you drew on the rest of the torso and you'll cut it out just the same. And don't forget the back of the red sweater. You need to draw the back design as well as the back of the shoulders. The sleeves are going to be your gloves. Pretty simple.
that on top of the blue and you'll get an idea for what the suit will look like. I'm pinning my red fabric to my blue fabric just to make it easier when I'm gluing it down. And that's it. Glue the red to the blue. Once you've glued the whole suit, it should look like this. The same method that you used the red sweater sleeves for the gloves can be done for the boots on the legs. Draw out your lens, get a rough sketch with a pencil. You're going to go over it with a Sharpie and eventually cut it out. So I like to go for something a little bit angular, a little something angry. That's obviously going into our character approach of this time in Peter's life being one of turmoil and of grief and of anger. So we wanted to emphasize that in his lenses. His lenses are his eyes. So there's this idea that he can't see past his own pain. And if you're like me thinking, I just messed that up even worse with the Sharpie, don't worry because you get to cut it out. Now that you have a template, trace that onto your leather. Then cut it out. Then you're going to flip it. And mirror that so you can have two lenses. And use the one you just cut out as your template. Now you should have two. And that chalk just wipes off with a wet washcloth. You don't need much mesh for this, so just cut down the mesh to size. I like to round off the pieces I'm using. If you don't know how to do a boxing hand wrap, just follow along. Copy exactly what I do. You want to keep making that X pattern on the back of your hand that's going to lock in the wrap. Think of X as in X-Men. This cardboard is the mask template, which is in the description. Download it, print it out, and you want to scale it to your head. When you're tracing, you want to give yourself 2 inches at least of seam allowance. Even though I'm using a t-shirt, you still want to trace on the inside of whatever shirt you're using. So if it's a sweater, you don't want to trace on the outside, you want to flip it inside out and trace on the inside. Okay? You're going to sew that together inside out as well, because when it's all said and done, your seam line will be on the inside and you take it inside out once more to put it right side out. I know it sounds confusing, but it's not. This is going to be the easiest stitch you've ever learned. It's called the back stitch. Essentially, you come up from the bottom, you then go forward about a centimeter so that you can make your first stitch, which is your base stitch, and you're going to come up through the bottom once more. And this time, you're going to come back. That's why it's called the back stitch. You're going to come back to the edge of the stitch that you just did, and you're going to go down. And then you're going to move forward, coming under, and then coming back. And you're just going to keep doing that progressively through the whole mask. You don't have to sew that close to the edge. Sewing within the middle of both of those white lines is probably the safest bet. Turn that mask inside out, and if you did it correctly, and you measured your seam line correctly, then it should slide right on your head. I chose to weather mine, and I'm marking out the eyes with white chalk. Go ahead and cut out your eyes. This is where a foam head is going to come in really handy for the next part, which is putting on your lenses.
Come on, dude, that was funny.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. Were you talking? Okay. No, go ahead. Yep, go ahead. Tell me your big bad plan. Go. Dude, come on. You gotta tell me now. Go ahead. Wait, oh, okay, go. I'm good. Go ahead. Oh, dude, come on. Give you like 5 tries. No more messing around.